Okay. Let's see if I can pull this off. Um, so, I should be supplying a written update right now, but I haven't been supplying a written update because I've been too busy doing other things. Um, to make it short, I don't know if I can make it short. Um, yeah, there was a problem with the TIL therapy, and it wasn't the TIL therapy, it was the biopsy. When they did the biopsy for the tumor that they had to remove the cells for the TIL therapy, um, the it was really hard to get the needle in. I could tell the doctor was having great difficulty. They actually tried in two places, which is unheard of. Every time you poke a hole in the lung, it's a big deal. Um, and my take was that the tumor was encapsulated with scar tissue from the treatment that we had, and so that that they had trouble getting the first biopsy. And when we went to do the second biopsy, the the surgery people didn't want to do it. They wanted to do a full tumor removal. They want to take the tumor out and get the cancer cells from that way. The problem is the people doing TIL therapy um, can't do it that way. They have to have cancer in the body so they can see how well the therapy works. So TIL therapy was taken out. There was a talk about delay or maybe doing somebody else, to get the cells, but they just balked. They said, we only have one more person we're going to do this year. We need to do it right away, and they took someone else. So that left me out of TIL therapy. There was a chance we might do TIL therapy again sometime in the future. If you're wondering why I'm moving my head so funny, is the glasses keep reflecting in a weird way when I move my head. So this is not, I'm actually standing on one foot in a weird position. It's just, this is a disaster. But it's not a total disaster. So so we had to do something else. What we had done before were PD-1 protein-based cell death therapies. There's this thing called protein. It's like PD-1, protein death 1. It's a protein that causes your cells naturally to self-destruct and kill themselves. Cells all have timers. They are told to live for a certain period of time and then die. They're given instructions. They're also told that they can make like one or two copies of themselves, and that's about it. Cancer rewrites its own crap, so you end up with, it keeps growing and growing, cloning itself, and it doesn't know when to stop or kill itself. So PD-1 tricks cancer back into killing itself appropriately because it's not useful. The first PD-1 monoclonal antibody I used was Pembro. The second was Optivo, which we added the virus to get it to work better because it wasn't working with me initially. We can't do the virus again because we've already done the virus. So we had to do something else. And so we're doing a new, it's not actually a monoclonal antibody, but it is a treatment that works like PD-1, but it's not PD-1. The other thing is when you use these antibody treatments or these immune treatments, once you use them a few times, the body gets resistant and it doesn't work. And so the chances of a PD-1 working for me now are really slim. Supposedly this is the shit. I don't know anything about it because we just decided like yesterday and we're going to be doing it tomorrow. So as far as my cancer itself is growing, it's growing really, really slowly. I haven't seen the scans, but I hear that it's not moving very fast, which is good. I think the tumor is encapsulated with scar tissue. The scar tissue was created by the original treatment, which took a tumor that was like this big and reduced it to this big, and then it grew back a little bit more, and that's the tumor that we have now. So it went from like a 4 centimeters down to 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters, if-ish, kind of a banana shaped. The tumor itself is right underneath my rib, one of the first free ribs. So that makes it extra hard to get to because the ribs move around, and like I said, poking holes is dangerous. Also, every time you do a biopsy in a cancer that's in your lungs, you risk it spreading cancer all over your body. All it takes is a mistake and releasing some of that shit into your lungs, and it can travel through your bloodstream, and you can have cancer everywhere. Fortunately, I don't have cancer everywhere yet. So tomorrow is my first day for my new treatment. These guys are hardcore. They want me to come in. They first are going to do all kinds of like medical testing and stuff like that. Then they are going to give me the infusion, but instead of taking 30 minutes like a standard infusion, they want to take an hour and a half to do the infusion, which is like, it's like dripping one drop at a time, like Chinese water torture or something. So there's that. Then they want me to sit for 6 hours and go to observation in case I have an allergic reaction, which I don't think I'm going to have. So, 2 hours to get to the train, whatever paperwork time, then the actual infusion 2 hours, then another 6 hours. I'm going to be there all day. I'm going to be like a 12-hour day. Then they want me to come back the next day and do another more blood work to make sure that I'm not freaking out and dying because of their treatment. So it's good. It's not good. It's all good. The deal is I shouldn't even be alive, so it's remarkable that I'm even here, which I have to remind myself daily. Here's some really good news. Basically, Replimune, the people that gave me the virus, I don't know which side looks better than my hair. I see it's like reflecting everywhere. Replimune, the company that came up with the virus, now I can tell you the story. There was an ulterior motive in the viral therapy, and the viral therapy was they took the virus that possibly cures cancer, which actually kills cancer pretty well, and they added a couple glycoproteins in it to do other shit. One of them is to make it look like an antibody, make it act like an antibody. Another was a way to trigger it with nivolumab or Optivo. And nivolumab is a PD-1 that's just like Pembro, which was the one I was on before, which stopped working. And the deal is these monoclonal antibodies only work for about 30% of the people. But they work really well for them, but they don't work for everybody else. They're shit out of luck. And Optivo wanted to find a way to make their product better than Pembro so they can make a shitload of money, because this stuff's really, really, really expensive. So that was the whole point of the trial. It was actually called the IGNITE trial. You can now look it up because the actual paperwork of what happened has come out. Now, there's things they'll tell you and things that they won't. What they'll tell you is that in the IGNITE trial, everybody was given 8 doses of injections, and about 30% of them, the Optivo actually started working again, even though it wasn't working, which is fantastic, and that's just great results. What they don't tell you is there was just one crazy patient in the whole fucking study that was willing to take more, and that was me. And instead of taking the 8 injections, they did something like 40 or more. I don't even know how many I had. And that person almost was cured of cancer. So the good news is that Replimune is going to allow the people testing with Optivo for the next clinical trials to pursue a full-length, nonstop treatment with the virus in an attempt to actually cure people. And I think that might work for a substantial number of people. My doctor and I are very excited. My doctor's name is Dr. N. I can announce that now because we've been published. So, Dr. N and I are like bros. And it's funny because it's like we're colleagues because we're the only team. See, everybody else was doing exactly what they were told. They were said, 8 injections this way, use ultrasound to locate the injections and stuff like that. And Dr. N and I just played around, did whatever we wanted, trying to make better stuff. And like a classic example has to do with tumor density. When Dr. M was out of town, I was giving ultrasound injections where they were using ultrasound to find the tumor and they were injecting it with the needle. And the tumor started growing on one side and stopping on the other. And I said, where are you putting in the injections? Are you using density or using just location? And he goes, we're using the ultrasound. Ultrasound doesn't show density, so we're just doing the size of the tumor, so we're injecting right in the center. But because he was injecting from the right side, all the stuff was going in the hole on the right side. And so it was the treatment was working on the right side, but it was working on the left side. So the tumor actually started to move across my neck because of this. And so I brought this up with the doctor, and I said, Dr. N doesn't do that way. And he goes, what does Dr. N do? And I go, well, Dr. N injects on tumor density. And he goes, how does he do that? And I go, he feels around in the needle and finds hard parts in the tumor and he injects them there. And he breaks up the doses instead of 1 dose or 2 doses, which is what they recommend. He breaks it into like 8 doses so he can like hit it in different locations. And Dr. and I worked this out ourselves, you know. And so the next time I go in with the same doctor, I'm not going to name his name, he was like feeling around with the needle. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm injecting by density. And it's like, that's the beauty of my doctor, Dr. N, is he's an experimenter. He plays around and he figures out new things like I do. And so we hit it off, and you know, we're always going through as much data as possible. So like when the guy stuck my lungs and he was having trouble getting the needle in, I told Dr. N, the guy stuck my lungs and he was having trouble getting the needle in. And I said he was even using a 20 gauge needle, not a 22, no, a 22 versus a 20. We used 20s, they were using 22, which is a smaller needle. And I said he was using a smaller needle and it took more force. And I said, that's why I think that cancer actually is surrounded by scar tissue. And, you know, he kind of goes, well, we'll see what we get. And so when they said they wouldn't give it to us, it all made sense. We kind of saw it coming. But that's the thing with research, is you gotta think ahead, and you gotta be looking at what's coming next, and which is kind of stupid because it's like I don't really know what the next treatment we're getting is called. We did discuss it. We have this game we play when we discuss treatments, and you know, you go in the room where, you know, they observe you or talk to you and the doctor, and there's that table that's covered with paper that you're supposed to lie on, and they tear the paper off every time. Well, what he does, he breaks out his pen and we start drawing. It's like doing a whiteboard where we just cover the thing with stuff. And he usually discusses like a dozen or more treatments every time. And, you know, and the thing is I know all the theories of basically how it works, even if I don't know the exact one that we're doing. But we're doing a new one. So, and it's starting tomorrow. And they seem to be very meticulous and very serious about doing everything exactly to protocol, which means this is going to be no fun at all. Now, I think I already said it, but Replimune is going to allow people to pursue the virus full length to try and stop people from dying of cancer. Now, what I may not have mentioned is they are getting rapid FDA approval. I think the hearings start next, about a month from now. And, you know, sometime in July. Yeah, it's in July. Is it June or July? I don't even know what month it is. But yes, in a month they're going to be starting hearings to give it FDA rapid approval to my virus, which is RP1, and now they've given it a fancier name. It's like, you know, God, I don't even fucking know what it is. So that's the story. I am still alive. I'm actually really healthy. I have one tumor under a rib that we can't get to. It is growing really, really slowly, and we're using an experimental treatment that's very similar to a monoclonal antibody that acts as it's like a PD-1 protein cell death killer. But it's not PD-1, it's something else. There's another programming death protein. So that's the story. I don't know, you know, the thing that I want to express is it's one of the most exciting things in my life is to actually work with these people. And Gino is a fucking genius. He's absolutely brilliant. Like if you go with AI and you type in Gino in, it will say medical oncologist, works in viruses, absolutely fucking genius, or something like that. And to be his best friend and work with him, it's something that I never thought would happen in my life. I proceed to look younger and healthier than I ever have. I ran into a designer, an architect, that I hadn't seen since the 90s the other day, Hassan. He's Iranian. And he was like, you haven't changed a bit in 20 years or 30 years. And it's very flattering. And I go, you know, I have terminal cancer. And he goes, yeah, but you haven't changed a bit. You look great. So It's pretty cute. The same happened with a gallery friend of mine, Inmo. If anybody knows who Inmo is, Inmo had a gallery in Chinatown, and he gave me my first one-man show. And Inmo just showed up at the door the other day, and he goes, "Man, you look so great. You look the same as when I met you." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I have terminal cancer." And they're like, "Yeah, you don't look like you have cancer." And I know, and I don't feel like I have cancer. So, but that's the story. Things are good. The FDA approval is fantastic. Dr. N and I were talking one day, and he said, I used to say that Dr. N wants to cure cancer and I want to be cured. Then I realized the complexities involved and realized I probably would never be cured. So I started saying Dr. N wants to cure cancer and I want to cure cancer because it's a noble cause and I'm doing my part. I do what I can. There was one time that Dr. N and I were sitting, talking, and we were talking about just some general bullshit that, people being argumentative in the medical community and things like that. And he said, "You realize how important all this has been." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Do you know how many lives you've saved?" And I go, "I don't know how many lives I've saved." And he says, "Countless, thousands." And he says, "And it's just going to get bigger because this is going to be the next big thing for cancer." And, when he told me the results recently that the FDA was fast tracking and things like that, he said, "You did this." And I said, "No, I didn't. You did this. You're the scientist." And he said, "Yeah, but without you, I couldn't have done this." And he said, he says, anybody can be a scientist. Anyone can crunch the numbers and take, get the recommended treatments and things like that. He said, "But you put your neck out and you went all out. And the information that you gave them is the reason they're doing fast track approval. I mean, they still might try it anyway just because of the percentage of people that actually had nivolumab work because of the virus." But he said what's really exciting and what these other scientists are talking about around the water cooler, I suppose, what the other scientists are concerned about is the fact that your results. And he said they're not saying your results because they may talk about them obliquely, but they're not going to say, "Oh, Jim Day did this," because I'm a patient. But they said, and it's just, this isn't how science usually is done, where like one person goes out on the limb. But he said you should be proud, and I am fucking proud. I can't. I mean, if you gave me another one-man show, I would be equally excited, or maybe less so. I think Jim Day's one-man show of art could be important for me, and it's something that I appreciate. But saving countless people that were doomed to death, and on that note, there's one other thing. When I'm feeling a bit, how like you have that scenario where someone's in a plane crash and one guy survives. It's like, why me? Type thing. And I was talking to someone about it, and it bugs me because I feel it's like imposter syndrome or something. I feel like in some ways I don't deserve what I've gotten because I didn't see it coming. So what can you say about that? And I was thinking about the clinic, and I used to go to the cancer clinic, and there was all these people, and I met all these other patients, and I talked to them, and we compared notes about what we were doing and things like that. None of those people are there anymore. They're gone. They're all gone, and it's kind of like being in like a war. Where the soldiers come in and there's the new guy that comes in and he's like, "Hey, I'm Joe and I want to talk to you," and no one will talk to him because they don't want to make friends because they know that these people aren't going to be around. I don't even try to make friends with people in the clinic anymore because it's just they don't last, And so this is important, and I want people to know. First of all, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of clinical trials, certainly, but always pay attention to every detail, no matter how small, when you're talking to your doctors. And this is important, and this is going to get better. It's going to get better for a lot of people. I've actually been interviewed a couple times recently, and there's some like kind of, I think they're kind of silly articles about me where I'm like, Mr. Day did this and this and this. But it's not about the attention. It's about what's important for the treatment and people. So that's where I'm at. Things are good. We'll see how I feel tomorrow after I've in the hospital for 12 hours just to get a single infusion of something I don't even know what it is. But that's sometimes the way cancer works. So there you go.